This is the Rawest and the Realest WMMA podcast on the planet. This is Savage WMMA Fan podcast number 24. Let's go. Hansen versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. I cannot pronounce that last name. I've been trying. Anyway, here's the motherfucking point. This is what Savage got to say about this fight. The only thing that I care about is motherfucking Hansen getting her ass kicked. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody knows I'm not a fan. If you don't know, I'm not much of a Hansen fan. I don't like her attitude. I don't like her views. I don't like the way she fight and just lay on top of motherfuckers like she's trying to put a dump truck of fucking Twinkies on top of a motherfucker's neck and shit. I don't know what this shit is about her boxing. You know, they need to box that fucking talk up because it don't make no sense. I don't see the stand-up skills that these other motherfuckers are looking at. I wouldn't let her ass within 20 feet of an amateur boxing ring, let alone a motherfucking professional arena. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, I don't know a lot about Jasmine Jasudavicius, but she showed some decent takedown defense in her Dana White Contender Series match. The bottom line is, don't let Hansen get you to the fucking ground, okay? It's going to be a boring fight, slow, sluggish, and eventually Jasmine may get her ass fucking submitted. So, yeah, I mean, apparently this is why Hansen moved up and shit, because she just couldn't make motherfucking 115 no more. So the bottom line about this fight is Hansen getting her motherfucking ass kicked. That's the only thing I want to say. I don't care who whoops her ass. Barney can go in there, Mickey Mouse. I don't give a fuck, okay? A goddamn tadpole can go in there and beat her ass for all the fuck I care. So I'm definitely going with Jasmine Jasudavicius. I know that's not how you pronounce her name, but shit, hearing the right pronunciation and then looking at the name again, that don't really help much. So we'll get there eventually. And the other fight on this upcoming card, UFC 270, Savannah Juarez versus Vanessa Demopolis. Now, I do know Demopolis a little bit, but I'm not as familiar with her as some people. But basically, she appears to be mostly a grappler, and she's going to try to get this fight to the ground. Silva has some decent kicks and punches. I'll be honest with you, y'all. I think she's going to get bodied. Based on what little bit I saw of these two fighters, comparing their data, you know, I think Vanessa is going to stick around, hang around, and eventually wear Savannah out. So that's who I got in this other fight. I got Vanessa Demopolis for the win. I mean, clearly we just don't have a lot of action this weekend, but yeah, it is what it is. A lot of times the fights that you don't expect to be all that good turn out to actually be better than some of the ones that you anticipate. So we'll see what happens. So this just in, Kayla Harrison has been reported to soon re-sign with the PFL. And I'm like, well, that's good for Kayla Harrison, you know. Stay in the fucking PFL where you can be a fucking, phantom champ with no real motherfuckers on your resume. Know what I'm talking about? So, I still don't have a lot to say about Kayla Harrison, she won't go and fuck with Cyborg Nation. I still think Amanda Nunes beat her even after getting smacked by fucking Juliana Pena. So if she's going to stay there and you know, remain a hype job for the whole entirety of her fucking MMA career, then that's great for her. And I really don't have shit else to say about that. Speaking of Amanda Nunes, so Amanda the lion-ass Nunes leaves AT&T. And, you know, after Nunez had all that success, I think she won something like 12 fights in a row up until her recent defeat against Pena. You know, nobody really knows why she's leaving the gym. You know, apparently she's going to start her own gym in Florida. And, you know, I don't know. Does Amanda have the, you know, the swagger to run her whole gym and fucking still train? If she's going to bring any of her trainers with her there, that's yet to be seen. But there seems like there's a pattern. When she loses badly, she leaves the fucking gym that she was in. Now, personally, I don't think it was the gym that lost her this fight. I think it was Amanda Nunes who lost Amanda Nunes the fight. Plus, Pena did put a motherfucking beating on her fucking skull. Now, that's not to say that she could have been better prepared, but I can't put that on the gym. I can't. I don't know about you, but I just think Amanda Nunes just doesn't want to take responsibility for this fucking loss. That's what the Savage is really saying. So, you know, it's just like that statement about, y'all think I'm going to go out unbalanced? I requested for the rematch immediately. I'm going to get my shit together. Why the fuck you didn't have your shit together when the fight started, Amanda? Know what I'm talking about? And I don't even know what the hell Amanda Nunes means when she says go out unbalanced. What, not go out a loser? Not go out with the belt? Not go out with motherfucking fucking Nina Azaroff the night before eating some fucking stank chicken wings and some stale fries? I don't know what the fuck Amanda Nunes is speaking about. But apparently there was a problem before the fight. And the only way to fix it is to get up and completely leave ATT and start her own gym. Oh, well, we will see how this shit goes. It don't sound right. Maybe it'll work for the best. Sometimes leaving your gym, you know, can work out for you. But under these circumstances, it just seems like Amanda Nunes has just been, you know, down in a steady gallon of denial, you know. But we'll see. We'll see what fucking happens with this whole Amanda Nunes leaving ATT. All right. Breaking news. This just in. It's been announced that Jessica Andrade has been scheduled to move back down to 115, which she's been talking about doing. You know, I can fight at any weight or whatever, you know. And she's supposed to take on strawweight contender I'm sorry, brain fart. Amanda Lemos. And wow, I didn't see that shit coming. Did you? That's an interesting fight. That's a real interesting fight. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I mean, is this a fight that Lemos should be taking? I don't know, but I guess, it seemed like a lot of fighters didn't want to fight Lemos up until this most recent win over, Angela Hill. And, now people think, oh, I can beat her now. And, all that crazy shit. When everybody know Angela Hill's been a tough out for a lot of those fighters at strawweight. Know what I'm saying? Even though she's not a top contender and all of that. But she's still formidable in terms of an opponent. So I'm at the point where I think that obviously Jessica Andrade wants to get back in the mix of the title. She wants to fight Rose again, and I'm confident. I'm confident in Rose, that Rose could defeat Jessica Andrade. But I know it's a tough matchup. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this, because, now that Jessica is moving back down, a lot of people are not going to want to see Jessica Andrade either. A lot of people are not going to bother when, Nick Maynard calls them like, hey, Mick, what do you got? Jessica Andrade, oh, I'm sick. I can't do it. Know what I'm talking about? They don't want to fuck with Jessica Andrade. And this is an improved Andrade. Andrade is a little bit more patient. Now, granted, she has a lot of the same tendencies, but she's doing a little bit more than she used to. A little bit of head movement, a little bit. I'm going to tell you what her biggest improvement, I think, is, and she showed this a lot in her fight against Cynthia Cavallo, and that was cutting off the cage. She cut off the cage. I mean, and Cynthia was helpless. I mean, she just beat her silly. She was just poking at her like a fucking voodoo doll. There was nothing she couldn't do to hurt that damn woman. Know what I'm talking about? So, breaking news. Jessica Andrade moves down to strawweight again. And then she's going to be reintroduced to the division by fighting Amanda Lemos. So that should be interesting. I don't have a date on that. I don't think they have a date yet, but any bonus information, I'll try to include it somewhere. And speaking of another fighter who has fought Jessica Andrade, we need to talk about one of my least favorite fighters. Listen, this ain't personal, okay? I'm just not a fucking fan, okay? That's what this is about. This is not about even the quality of the fighter per se. I'm just not a fan of this particular fighter, and I don't hate her. I don't particularly care for her. I'm not into her. She doesn't excite me, Her fighting style is, it's well-rounded. It is very effective. I have to give it to her. And the fact that she's taken so many fights over the last few years, despite this COVID protocol, and, she's succeeded on a certain level. She's on a different level than a lot of these girls in that division. Even though I'm tired of seeing her, and that is Katlyn Chookigan. So Katlyn Chookigan had a fight with Maya. It was her second time going against Jennifer Maya, and Maya totally blew that fight. Know what I'm saying? Like, in my last podcast, and if you're listening to this on the audio, this is my first one being uploaded to Spotify and whatnot. So if you want to see any other podcasts, you want to listen to them, they're all on YouTube. And if you want to see any individual videos or clips of podcasts from the past, just go to YouTube. It'll be there. I just decided to start the audio just whatever number I would be on. So this is my first run. I'm Savage WMMA fan. Nice to fucking meet you. And hopefully we can get acquainted. Now, back to Katlyn Chookigan. So Katlyn Chookigan goes in here and she fairly handily beats Jennifer Maia. Jennifer Maia she couldn't get on the inside. She was swing recklessly, and then, surprisingly, Katlyn took her down a couple of times and did some decent work on top. So the bottom line is that Jennifer Maia is hard-headed, and Jennifer Maia just didn't make it enough of a rough fight. I mean, she did catch and swell up Chookigan a little bit, but Katlyn Chookigan did what the fuck she had to do in this fight. And I give her credit. You know, she was the smarter fighter. She clearly was a smarter fighter in this fight, while Jennifer Maia, octagon IQ on negative 1,000 and shit. Know what I'm talking about? So at the end of this fight, in the press conference, they were talking to Katlyn Chookigan. And Katlyn Chookigan was saying some shit about how this was her last fight on her contract. And usually, when fighters fight out their contract, or they're about to, especially coming off of like a big win, or, you know, they've been doing good, then they wait until your last fight is about to happen. And right before that fight happens, they renegotiate your contract. They put 3 or 4 or whatever they agree to put on your extension. So apparently, and I'm going to go ahead and read this from a quote from Katlyn Chookigan herself. This was the last fight on my contract. And usually, when you have one more, they renegotiate your contract. So, when they offered this fight, I'm like, oh, I'm up for negotiation for a new contract. And they were like, oh no, we want you to fight this out. Contract, that is. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to cut me. Well, what does it mean, Caitlin? But it's usually not good news. Hopefully with this performance, I like to think they want to keep me. I want to stay here, so hopefully I prove that tonight. Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I believe they should go ahead and re-sign her at least for a couple of more fights. But here's the problem with Katlyn Chookigan, and I'm sitting there thinking about it, is it's kind of like the same thing that kind of made her seem more interesting may have been the same thing that has maybe put her foot in her mouth. What she's basically said, I'm just fighting money fights. I'm fighting to my contract out. I'm about to retire. I got married. I delayed and ducked Valentina, to get married, and then, I want to have a family and yip and yip that. And the problem is that Dana White doesn't really need Chookigan. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it would look bad. I don't know how much it would affect them in the UFC right now, but I think it would look bad if you had a top contender. You just fucking cut them. I mean, that would look real bad. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not like she's a big star. I mean, there's other people, and they barely in the USADA pool. If they are, I mean, they have not let these people, they're waiting for these people to go. I mean, they're waiting for these people to come back. They're waiting for John Jones. They're waiting for motherfuckers to come back. Know what I'm talking about? So I think at the end of the day, there's a good possibility they will let her go. Though I'm not so sure they're going to let her go, but I wouldn't be surprised, And Dana White himself, you know, he kind of like sidestepped the question with his answer. Dana White, quoting him, he says, I know that we went into this. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. I know that we went into this fight with her contract. It's expired now. White said, she's a free agent right now. I don't know. That was between her and Mick Maynard. He did that deal with her, so we'll see what happens. Which means, I don't know. Maybe I don't fucking care. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll fucking see what happens with Katlyn Chookigan, and will she be re-signed? Because, I mean, she's fought often, you know, and she's fought well. You know, she did get her ass whooped by Andrade. She did, you know, get decimated by the bullet Shevchenko, you know, Valentina, the long-time reigning champ. So we'll see. We'll see what the fuck happens. But at the end of the fucking day, I'm just excited. I'm excited because I think we're starting to really get the competitive matches that we want to see. Yes and no. This damn COVID shit and injuries and undisclosed this and that, it's a fucking headache, y'all. But hopefully, as we get toward the middle of the year, things will start to work out. But I like seeing the more call-outs. The Savage loves the call-outs. He loves people taking more chances and you know, going for it. So there's just so much shit to just appreciate. And, you know, I feel that WMMA gets a bad rap. And while on one hand, I think it's more popular than it used to be, I don't know if it is profitable as it should be. And there's a whole bunch of shit behind that. And I have a lot of opinions on that. So again, if this is your first time hearing my content, whether it's YouTube or you're hearing this on the audio version, Spotify or whatnot, just go through and then you can get an idea of my whole thought dynamic, how I see the sport and where I'm at. And, you know, that's what I do. I keep it raw. I keep it real. So let's just hope that we have some really good fights this weekend. And I look forward to talking to you again pretty soon. This is the rawest and the realest WMMA podcast on the planet. This is Savage WMMA fan, and I'm out.